Jimmy and JoAnne, we've got a special treat for viewers of Unseen Libya tonight. How are you both doing?
Doing great, Jason.
Okay, great.
It's great to see you, and you sound much clearer today. We're all of us working hard to constantly improve the image quality, the audio quality, every aspect of what we're doing. We're going to be joined during the sponsor-exclusive segment by retired Virginia State Senator and decorated military veteran, Senator Richard Black. He'll be with us in just 30 minutes on patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty, patreon.com/crowdsource the truth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsource the truth. The senator has joined us a few times in the past, but if there's people perhaps who've just started watching, maybe Jimmy, JoAnne, maybe you guys could give us a little background as to why Senator Black is such an important figure right now.
Well, Senator Black is really an authentic war hero. He flew 260 or 70 sorties in Vietnam as a Marine pilot. Helicopter pilot. He has a couple of Purple Hearts. He has all kinds of accommodations. After that, he signed up, volunteered to be a FAC,
He's a
which
JAG.
is
He's a FAC first.
FAC, a
Forward Air Controller.
Air controller. They have the highest fatality rate of any position in the military. They're the ones out in front calling in the strikes and everything. And then after that, he became went back, studied law, and he became a JAG officer. At one time, he was the ranking attorney in the Pentagon. He had under his area of control Europe. After that, he started his law practice, and he specialized in asylum cases. And then later on, he became a state senator from Virginia, served there honorably for another 8 years, and just retired just recently. And he is the only honest politician we have ever met. He's a great guy. He works hard. He's on his own time. He flew to Syria twice to try to validate what was going on over there. He maintains close contacts with those people, and
He's got a big heart. He cares about what's happening in the world. He wants justice for people. He wants freedom for people. He speaks out about it, and he researches it, and he's a really
real honorable guy.
Really
Plus,
honorable guy. Yeah.
I've got to tell you, he's a tough as an acre of snakes. His hobby is gathering up poisonous snakes for medical research. And like he says, he gets bit a couple of times a year, but this guy is, he's a real man's man, and he's a great guy, big-hearted, a family man. He's just everything that we would hope our politicians were.
He's a leader.
He's a genuine leader, We're so honored to call him a friend. He's a great guy.
Yeah, and he has made the bold move of not only as a politician and a military veteran, he's the consummate diplomat. He went to Syria, as you said, Jimmy. He met with Bashar Assad. It's interesting how Google searches for this meeting used to bring up a lot of images of Senator Black meeting with Bashar Assad. Here we can't even see Assad's face, but I guess they've just been pushed down the Google search line, not finding them as easily today as I have in the past. But Senator Black has toured some of the destruction in Syria, and I think you're right. He's a leader. He's someone who has the wisdom, the experience, the knowledge, the skills to really make decisions that other people don't even have the ability to understand, from a military standpoint, a legal standpoint, a diplomatic standpoint. We'll talk to him in a bit about what might have happened to some of these images that you used to be able to Google that are gone.
They've been scrubbing him because they really don't like a truth teller out there. Let me give you a little insight. When he went to Syria, he said he wanted to go to the areas where the Christians were being crucified, where the damage was being done, and they said, "Oh, it's very dangerous." And he said, "That's where I want to go. I want to go talk to the people." And he went there with a small entourage of defense people and stuff, and he would stop and talk to the small farmer and the goat herder and stuff like that. And he went back a second time, and he said the second time he went, he said the security needed was a whole lot less. But I mean, he went out into the areas where there were terrorist attacks all the time. The guy is, you know, he's a truth seeker and a truth teller.
He's a hero. He's not a fearful person. He trusts, you know, himself and his God, and he goes about doing the business for humanity. On our show tonight, we'll ask him to talk about President Assad, because his opinion, he met both Assad and his wife, is very enlightening, and everybody needs to hear what he has to say about Bashar al-Assad and his wife. He talked
to the Syrian people to find out what they thought of their leader, and they all love him. And of course, in the last election he got something like 86 percent of the vote. And of course,
Assad did.
The U.S. Yes, and of course the U.S. and all the other usual suspects didn't like that election result. But what can I say?
Here's the picture I was looking for. So this is a picture that clearly shows the senator seated in the office with Bashar Assad. We got it in a tweet from somebody else, but this is Yandex, the Russian search engine. You know, I don't know too much about it, but here's the picture of Bashar Assad meeting with Senator Black. I mean, this is just like sort of like step one, basic level, like what we would want a diplomat, a politician to do. There's a problem in a region. Here we have a man steps up as a leader. He goes there. He talks to the president. He surveys the area. He talks to the people. This is way different than what we've seen from other representatives,
John
like
McCain.
exactly who I was thinking about.
All the other politicians, when they come, they bring their son, their nephew, their brother with them in order to negotiate some kind of multi-billion-dollar scheme. You know, that's the modus operandi for the usual suspects. Senator Black has never done that. In fact, he drives himself. He doesn't have he's one of the most down-to-earth guys you'll ever meet.
Man.
Yeah. And of course, when John McCain goes to Syria, he's not meeting with the president or the locals. He's meeting with well-known terrorists, members of ISIS, facilitating the destruction of Libya and Syria. Sorry, JoAnne, please go ahead.
No, that's okay. You said exactly what I was going to say.
John McCain, he always would turn his hand open. He says, "I've got a real bad itch in this hand. Can you do something for it?" So, you know, I mean, it's criminal. Every time he went to Libya, he got a $10 million cash gift. Every politician went to Libya during the 2011 received a big cash payout.
And we also have seen that famous image of John McCain and Lindsey Graham and this guy.
Bel Hodge.
Meeting with Bel Hodge.
Hodge.
And then who's this other guy? Senator
Blumenthal.
Blumenthal, right.
Yeah, I think it's Blumenthal.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, they're getting awards for handing Libya to a terrorist. The terrorist is the guy on the other side of McCain.
Yeah. McCain called these guys his brothers. He also did that. And McCain was in Syria with the same terrorist groups, calling them his brothers. They're his heroes, you know.
Well, speaking of heroes, there's been a big flap in the news, these allegations that Trump had disparaging comments about particularly war veterans of the Vietnam War. We can ask Senator Black what he thinks about that.
Well, you know, the guy that put that out has now admitted that was a bald-faced lie.
Really?
And
who was that?
Yeah, I've got it on Pocket, but I don't have it up here in front of me. Had we had our regular show, would have brought that forward. But he admitted the whole thing was a lie, and you know there was no truth in it. But you know the problem is you've got everybody in D.C. is such it's like a ball of snakes. You know, they're all just one big mess. And we don't have two political parties. We've got one group of mafia that are in there running their schemes and their scams and everything. And we don't have none of us have any representation in D.C. And so they always try to make Trump appear to be the underdog, because Americans love to defend the underdog. But really and truly, Trump, he's not in charge of the foreign policy. He's only allowed to do certain things, and he may have a good heart. He may be wanting to do good things, but really the guys running the show, the bureaucrats and the national, the different CFR and all those, they really have their agenda, and that's what they're pushing forward. And I think Trump was probably given part A of the two-part kill deal that Chip Tatum talked about. I think his whole family's been dosed, and if he doesn't do what he's told, then they all get a heart attack, And I'm sure they used to blackmail people. Now they don't do it. They tell them, you will die if you don't do what we say. And so it's a real unfortunate state. I don't think that we, the people in the United States, can coexist with these foreign corporations that are running everything. I don't think we can coexist with them. It's just they've gone too far, and we have to do something to bring this country back to a constitutional entity.
Yeah. Well, real quickly, the guy who wrote the article for The Atlantic, I think he wrote it. He's the editor, Jeffrey Goldberg. This thing here in The Spectator is saying that he's frequently weeping in his office. That's kind of unusual for an adult to do at work. I don't know. I haven't heard him admit that it's a lie.
He's been a liar, I guess.
I think it was on RT or it was on what's the one that Fort Russ, what is the other one we look at all the time?
Fort Russ.
Yeah, Fort Russ. I think it was in their release today.
Well, we'll keep looking at that. Spreading fake news, Fort Russ. I agree. So this might be it.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
It says The Atlantic's Jeff Goldberg spreading fake news on Trump's military remarks was key Iraq war propagandist. There's copious amount of blood on Jeffrey Goldberg's hands, according to this article by Shane Trejo of Big League Politics. Latest phony media controversy to malign President Trump and impede his America First agenda is pertaining to comments he allegedly made to disparage military personnel in 2018. The claim, published in The Atlantic, is that Trump called fallen soldiers suckers and losers. It just doesn't seem like
that's not something Trump would say. No, I'm sorry.
I don't think so.
He's pro-military. He doesn't ever say anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, he would say it about John McCain for specific reasons, and I agree, as do you, JoAnne. Yeah.
And John Kerry, there were a
up.
lot of them. Yeah. John Kerry was another class example. But, Trump was in a military academy. He learned honor and respect, and he graduated, I think, top in his class. He was very well respected. They said he was a great guy. Why would anybody that has been brought up to understand the military ethic, if you would, and turn around and say something like it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, he also, I mean, usually when he's disparaging someone, there's a very specific reason. I don't think Trump necessarily spits out these kind of broad, random comments that would insult everyone, particularly when he knows he's the president and everything that he's doing would be scrutinized. It really doesn't ring true at all. And, I think people have come to realize that Jimmy probably is not so enthralled with Trump at this point. So from that standpoint, I think his commentary, JoAnne, perhaps has more value on this particular topic than you or I, because people would just say, oh, well, you guys are defending Trump no matter what. It's interesting to see that Jimmy agrees. This doesn't seem like something he would say.
No, there's plenty of rocks I can throw at him. But this is one that it has no basis in reality. It really just does not wash at all. But, this is a desperate agenda of these media guys that when the people are finally awakening to the hoax that's been played on us and all the lies that we've been told, and when we see all the leaders, all of them, I don't care who they are, you see this drunk Pelosi flying in a private jet supplied by the U.S. taxpayers,
just to have her hair done,
flying to California to get her hair done.
Oh wow! And, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah,
she's got a plane. That was part of the Speaker of the House has a private
jet.
aircraft at her disposal.
What?
Her booze bill the last year before she was out as speaker for a year or so. Her booze bill that year was like $180,000. Booze on the airplane.
She flies her family back and forth
Yeah.
all the time.
Wow. Why
No,
should
it's
she
such-
have that? She should have to take a commercial flight. She represents the people.
Oh, but that's
Yeah.
one of the perks,
Well,
but those guys vote themselves whatever kind of perks
They
they
give
get away
themselves
with.
the perks they want. This is the corruption in our government. These guys should never be allowed to vote whether there's term limits or not, to vote their perks, to vote whether they get Social Security or not, what kind of.
They're all hustlers.
They're in 2 years and they get full retirement.
Yeah, they're all hustlers.
This because they vote that themselves.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, she flew out to California and didn't wear a mask at the salon.
That I
And the
saw.
salon that's what we're talking about. And she has destroyed that salon now. Blamed it. Said they set me up.
Wow.
And so the salon has lost all their business.
Yeah.
And the woman's receiving threats, I heard.
Yeah, and the governor of South Dakota has put out her hand and said, "Please come to South Dakota. We'll welcome you."
Yeah.
I wonder if she'll move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a bit of a celebrity. All these hair salon owners, it's interesting because, my friend who owns the hair salon is having a lot of financial problems. That woman in Texas, that was a hair salon. Now we have
She's
Nancy.
running for office. She's
Oh.
running for office.
Yeah.
She
Shelley
decided to do
Luther.
it.
Yeah, she's running for Texas House of Representatives in
Yeah.
her district. The
Oh,
guy
she could
moved
hang
to
out with Mr. Black
Shelley Luther.
or Mr. White.
Shelley Luther's her name, and she's now been endorsed by the gun coalition here in Texas and a whole bunch of people.
Republican women, and the guy that she's running against is an Adolf Abbott pick, and of course that's probably should be the kiss of death for him. I'll be surprised if he gets a vote. This
Yeah, so
governor
this
here
was-
hates so much.
Back in May, they're saying that Shelley Luther changed the reopening debate. So that's pretty interesting. I love
Yeah.
it when we see these people who are average people running for office. So hopefully that inspires more people to do that because,
That's what she said.
we've just...
She had to discuss it with her family, she said, and she decided that it's time people began to get involved, people who understand what it's like to work every day, people who understand what it's like to raise a family by yourself.
And now we're
help.
going 6 months with businesses shut down, no income. Their bills continue, their rent continues, and there's no relief in sight. And the irresponsibility of that. It's now the CDC's come out and said there's only 9,200 deaths attributable to COVID-19. 9,200 in the United States.
Yeah, with
And,
no comorbidities.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
right.
when you got this kind of a lie, this kind of a hoax that's been perpetrated and is continuing, they're not turning loose of it. And there's 49 governors that are absolutely in cahoots. Beginning 14 years ago, the bad guys started infiltrating their minions in the health departments all over the world. And so the health departments are now running our government. Not one of them elected to anything. They don't have any right or entitlement to be dictating what's happening to all of us.
They aren't
Yet they're
doctors
doing it.
even.
And all the politicians are going right along with them. So, this is going to piss everybody off because people can't afford to pay their bill. This month in September, the amount of mortgages they're going to be in that people cannot pay their mortgage payments is going to be above 30%.
Whoa.
Right, beginning this month, it's the highest, and these people have no opportunity. They don't have any savings. They don't have any credit cards left. And how does that work? How in the world could any government strip the people of their homes? This is evil.
With a phony scamdemic.
And they all knew it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the Washington Post is reporting that an indicator that presaged the housing crisis is flashing red again. This is from July. And 3.4% of Americans became at least 30 days delinquent on their mortgage in April. So this is a problem that's, I guess, just growing. And that's April. And now we're in September.
But one of the reports that I read, one of the inside reports, because they were analyzing, these were the computer models that were analyzing the people's ability to pay. and there's more than 30% of the people do not have the ability to pay.
Wow.
And that's a terrible thing. And the way it's set up now, I think 60 days they can move you out in a lot of places.
Yeah, but I think they're finished, Jason. I think everybody knows it's all a lie now. I can't imagine there's so few people that don't know it's a lie. I don't know how.
You're seeing uprisings all over the world.
Now what
Huge.
they're going to do is try to start a war with Russia or start a war with China, because that's their backup plan.
Yeah. The United States has warships inside the Chinese territorial waters. The United States is having live fire exercises within a kilometer of the border of Russia and Poland. These are absolutely acts of war. Like the Russians said, we don't know whether the weapon headed our direction is nuclear or not, but we're going to react as though it is nuclear. So, and the U.S. keeps trying to provoke Russia into starting something, or China into starting something. And the other thing, the U.S. has been instructed by the Security Council of the UN many, many times to get their ass out of Syria. They just ignore it.
Wow. And this article in the New York Times is telling us about how these 2 aircraft carriers have been sent in a significant show of force. We can see some F-35s on the deck. So this is also July 4th. 2 American aircraft carriers sailed to the South China Sea. We're getting close to the end of our segment here. We're going to be transitioning over to the sponsor exclusive portion of the show on patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty, and subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsource the truth. The one last thing I wanted to ask you guys about, I know this isn't so much of a Texas story, it's happening in New York, but the state attorney general here has basically declared war on the NRA, and it's just come out a couple weeks ago that an Emmy award-winning producer, David Mackenzie, is apparently at the center of this New York lawsuit to shut down the NRA.
Did you hear what Trump said about that? Trump made a remark.
I'm interested to hear it.
Trump said to the NRA, he said, move to Texas. That's
Right.
what you need to do.
Well, I'm just curious to learn more about, first of all, the shape of this guy's head. And second of all, about how is this guy pivotally involved? And anytime I hear that somebody like this, I mean, a Hollywood producer supporting the NRA, that's interesting. He lent his boat to the CEO of the NRA, Wayne LaPierre, for a trip to the Bahamas, and they're saying that this is, an improper use. It's a financial contribution to the charity. It's very similar to what was happening with Jeffrey Epstein's jet and Bill Clinton on some of his Clinton Foundation escapades. So we'll have to see if the New York State Attorney General is going to treat the NRA in the same way that they'll treat the Clinton Foundation. But it's interesting that an Emmy Award winner is now at the center of this. I've been looking into news related to the Emmys because they've decided to sue me.
Yeah.
But this is, again, part of what these guys, and by these guys I mean social engineers, this is what they're trying to do to shut our show down. They don't want people to see these broadcasts on YouTube. They don't want thousands of people around the world to learn the truth about the Libyan situation and what went on in 2011. For people who are seeing us for the first time, Jimmy and JoAnne were there in Libya on the ground from 2007 to 2011. They've put together a DVD that people can purchase. It contains photographs and videos that they personally took. They haven't won any Emmy Awards for this DVD, but I highly recommend that people purchase it. It's $15, $5 for shipping within the United States. You can get it at LibyanWarTheTruth.com. And of course, people who sponsor Jimmy and JoAnne on Patreon, you're going to get free shipping, so you save $5. Basically, could make your first month of sponsoring Jimmy and JoAnne totally free. It's a great way to do that, and it keeps this kind of independent reporting coming to the viewers. The Emmys like this system where multi-billion-dollar corporations sponsor the free programming, whether it's on TV or YouTube, that people are getting. But what they're actually doing is they're buying your ability to choose what you might listen to. So we'll be back in just 5 minutes. Any last words before we?
Tell our YouTube audience. Department of Homeland Security has identified the biggest terror threat in the United States are us white guys. So if you all are rebels at heart, Department of Homeland Security said we are the problem, not Antifa, not Black Lives Matter, not the
Well, wait a minute.
ISIS.
They're saying white supremacists. That's not us. That's
You're not a white supremacist.
I thought I was.
No, you're.
You told me I was. I'm not.
I never told you that. No.
Yeah, but this is what
Anyway.
they say, white supremacists. I see a lot of white people who are disrupting businesses and smashing things. They've arrested some college girl from Connecticut. She was white. I wonder if she's a supremacist.
No, she's probably a leftist.
They invented that term because I can promise you, I don't think I've ever had any special benefits from the color of my skin. I don't ever know that ever happened.
Look at this.
So, you know.
Ben Wittes, the editor-in-chief, they called it a national security site called Lawfare. I think it's an agitator site that basically advocates using the law, whether it's criminal or civil, against its opponents. Benjamin Wittes has publicly lied about what he knows with regard to the death of Peter Smith. He's covered for Shane Harris. He's covered for Matthew Tate. He helped James Comey leak stuff. Benjamin Wittes is not a guy that I trust. And the Lawfare blog is not a national security site. It's a threat to national security, if it's anything.
Yes.
But we'll be back in just a few minutes. We're going to transition over to Patreon and Subscribestar now so we can meet the senator. I hope everyone will join us. Please sponsor Jimmy and JoAnne on patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty. You can also sponsor this program by going to subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsource the truth. We'll see everybody over there in just a few minutes. Thanks for watching.